Kidnapped, walking the scene with you in old flicks from the 90s. So keen, the VHS Club, they're the talk of the town. Breaking it down, spreading nostalgia all around. Moving and grooving to the synth-pop sound. The inside so fresh, painting pictures profound. From Pulp Fiction to Clueless, they know it all. The genuine love for movies stands tall. Unfolding memories on that VHS screen, talking about classics like you've never seen. Katie with her charm, Matt with that wit. Together they make the VHS Club legit.
Welcome back to the VHS Club. It is time for a club meeting. We are talking all about Kill Bill, and Marielou is in the house, so it's going to be just endless fun. Get ready. Grab your popcorn. Are you ready? Are you ready, Marielou? Do you have your...
Oh, I'm always ready.
Is popcorn your snack of choice? I saw your incredible video, and I was like, now I'm sad. Now I'm sad that I'm not sitting here watching this movie right now.
Always popcorn. I love
Always
popcorn. I figured out like a very good way for me to make it at home. It's not quite movie theater, but sometimes I just go to the movie theater because I want that popcorn.
Yeah, I'm of the mindset that like I will never make it in the... I feel like my at-home popcorn in some ways is better than movie theater popcorn, but movie theater popcorn has like the feels. Like it gives me the feels. So which I'm fine with because I want to be able to have that experience like at the theater. So yeah, I feel it. Well, I'm thrilled that you are here, and I'm just so overjoyed. I've been so very lucky because Nat is still out for a little bit longer. I'm slowly convincing her to come back to the VHS Club and join us again. But while she's out, we've been having so much fun with all of my friends coming on and hanging out and sharing their favorite movies. And everyone has picked like the greatest movies, and we've had very little overlap, which is incredible. Like you were like, here is my list of incredible choices of things that I want to rewatch, and I was like, all of these. Every single one. So yeah, solid choices. And I was so glad that Kill Bill was on your list because it's been a very long time since I've seen this, but I just love it so very much. So if you don't like Kill Bill, I'm very sorry for this episode. You might want to just turn this off and walk away because this is an ode. This is an ode to a movie that is just downright fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Who wouldn't like this? Who
Yeah.
wouldn't like this? I mean, somebody who doesn't like gore, I guess, and violence and empowered women.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I asked my friend ChatGPT to help me with some fun-filled questions for tonight, and it told me that the episode theme tonight is swords, sass, and revenge, and I'm on board. So get ready for swords, sass, and revenge. And the game is as usual. The game is the same for the club. So if you've seen this movie, you've got to let us know what you think and share your thoughts and give your rating at the end. And if you haven't seen it, like Val and usually a few other people, because Val never watches any of these movies, but she hangs out with us. So if you haven't seen it, our goal tonight, Marielou, is to convince them to watch it. So their rating will be based on how good we review this movie. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I've been told I'm very convincing.
Good. Yes. Excellent. Well, I'm going to kick things off by forcing you to give me your best IMDb movie phone trailer level quality description about what this movie is about. Okay. Take it away. Kill Bill. There's no wrong answer. There's no
All
wrong
right.
answer.
Revenge is a dish best served cold. Our bride seeks revenge on the ex co-workers who tried to kill her but could never keep a good woman down. This is the ultimate revenge story. And if you like lists, you're also going to love this one too.
Well done. Well done. I don't think you missed anything. I'm there. I'm there. I'm there for it. Well, I want to know, so is this a movie that you like, is this your comfort movie that you watch often? So this was just like no problem, even if I don't have time to rewatch this, top of mind, ready to go? Or is this one where it's a total favorite and you just really wanted a chance to rewatch it and it's been a while?
It's been a while since I watched it. I put this at the top of the list because it was something that changed my brain chemistry, I believe, when it came out. Like I had never seen anything like this, and it blew my mind. And when rewatching this, I feel like I was more familiar with the soundtrack than I was the movie, even though I'd seen the movie a couple of times, but I had the soundtrack in my car when we used to have CDs, friends. We could not just pick anything off of the internet. And I think I had 3 CDs in my car. It was like the Kill Bill soundtrack, the Wicked soundtrack, and Sublime.
Perfect choices. Perfect choices. The soundtrack to this movie is perfect. It really is. It really is perfect from start to finish. And it is so unexpected and strange and wonderful that I feel like it would be one that, like, if you've seen this movie and you hear any of these songs, Doc was singing some of them today while we were working all day at an event we were running, and every single like time he jumped into one of them, I was like, oh yep, I can see that scene in my head. So that's a sign of a good soundtrack, that you can just kind of immediately visualize everything. I love what you said at the beginning. So you were like, if you're not into gore, this is probably not your vibe. It is a gory movie, and certainly as it first opens, I like had forgotten. So it's black and white in the first few minutes, and it's got like, I mean, Uma Thurman is not okay. She's like, her
not
face
okay.
is not good, and it's very close up. And the older I get, the less great about gore I am, and yet I still am totally a true crime girl, and I'm totally not. It's not going to stop me from watching the movies, but I was like, oh no, oh look up here. I had to look away because it is. At least in that first moment, it's real rough, and then I feel like the violence gets almost. I don't want to say comical, but it does get.
But it is.
But it does get comical, and then it feels easier to watch from that. But I didn't remember that first scene where I was just like, oh, but her face is not good, and it was rough. So it the hardest moment, at least in my opinion, if you're not good with gore, is that first moment, which I think you need to power through, because I do think it's worth it. But I definitely had the fingers. I had the fingers.
I have to do that too. I feel like as I've gotten older, the more I have to be like, I can't look at it, but I can look at it, but I can't look at it. And there's definitely a couple of those. So if you're someone who can't take these, I feel like the tension is built up enough, like, you know, it's coming.
Yeah.
So if you think something crazy is going to happen, it's gonna.
Yeah, it is.
Just know that.
It is gonna. It is absolutely gonna. So I want to kick off by talking about the fact that, so this is a Tarantino movie. So if you've never seen a Quentin Tarantino movie, this is one of 9. There are potentially 10. He has said that he will do 10 and that's it, but he has never done the 10th. So which is kind of genius. He's just sort of left that last one out there. There's talk of it, but he's never quite gotten there. I think this one's my favorite. There are 2. So there's Kill Bill 1 and 2. And Terrell was saying there should have been a 3. I agree, there should have been 3, but there are 2, Kill Bill 1 and 2. Is this your favorite of the are you a Tarantino person? And B, if you are, or I guess if you're not, is this your favorite of the Tarantino movies?
Well, I don't dislike other Tarantino movies, but this is the only one that really latched on to me. And
me too, yeah.
It was like, I'd seen the other ones. So I was like, oh, Reservoir Dog is fun. Pulp Fiction is fun. Like, I get it. I get it. But then Kill Bill, I was like, what? The world looks different now, and nobody can stop me. And then, yeah, here I am today.
Yeah, here you are today. I feel the exact same way, and I think for me it was so I actually really am not a big fan of most of his other movies. I really do like Pulp Fiction a lot, but the others they're solidly okay. I don't like they're not ones that I necessarily feel the need to pick up and rewatch again. I admire him from a like a filmmaking standpoint, but they didn't click with me. These ones absolutely did and still do every single time I rewatch them, and I think it's for a few different reasons. One, I like there's a magic in these ones that I do think is stronger than in the others. I love the focus on like strong female characters and like literally and figuratively strong, just strong all the way around. And I think these ones are also a little bit more silly. And maybe that's not even the right word, but there is a humor in these that I don't think necessarily exists in his other movies, and it makes it feel, I don't know, for me it makes it feel more enjoyable across the board.
It is charming.
It's charming. Yeah.
And in watching it this time, and now having been, I don't think I don't remember when the last time I watched it, but I feel like I just understood a little bit more about movie industry and movies in general. And like this movie really is somebody who loves movies, right?
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino is clear that he loves movies. He would love being on this podcast. So Quentin, if you're watching,
we're ready for you.
Come on by. But he got to do what he needed to do, what he wanted to do. And like all of the references, there's so many references, there's so many homages, there's so many choices that were made. Even like this was supposed to be a single movie, and he owns a movie theater here in LA and did a cut of the movie as one.
So cool.
Which took out like some of the scenes that were repetitive. Like there's some scenes at the beginning of volume 1 that are at the end of volume 1 or beginning of volume 2 that get cut out. But I was like, wow, that's really neat to see that he got to see that through, right? See that through. Because even when I think when I started the movie, I was expecting it to be like a 3-hour movie, the volume 1. And I was like, oh, it's under 2 hours. And I was like, okay, I see where in today's movie world, they could have put both of them together.
Yeah, it is right on that line. I felt the exact same way. And I'm the person that like in my mind when it's, especially if it's like a series or 2 movies and they're, and they merge in my mind together. So I was remembering scenes that were clearly in volume 2. And when I got to the end of volume 1, I was like, no, I don't have time to watch volume 2. So you can better believe in the next couple of days here, I'm definitely going to be diving back into volume 2 because they really are meant to go together. And you're right. I do think that together it would have just been one long movie, which these days isn't that big of a deal. We were talking before we jumped on that, we tend to view movies these days, or at least I do, in these like chunks anyway. So there's very few moments where I get to sit down and watch, 2 hours or 3 hours in one go. It's like, I'm going to watch a little bit here and then I'm going to dive back in here and then I'm going to dive back. So it feels kind of bingey anyway. So yeah, 3 hours wouldn't have bugged me. 4 hours wouldn't have bugged me. It would have
because we will like easily watch 4 episodes of the new show that's on Netflix now. Like we're just trained a little bit differently because we're not sitting necessarily in the theater watching. But this one, I will tell you, if you can ever see it in the theater, I saw both of these in the theater and I just remember being like my jaw on the floor. I cannot believe that I was seeing, especially like with these characters, like even the ones who are the antagonists, like all the women characters, that they're strong females who are physically strong, emotionally, mentally strong, right? They're going through this revenge story, and that they're beautiful and could be considered sexy, but are not sexualized. And specifically when one is sexualized, punishment is doled out. And like, how often did we get to see that? Like, I still feel like we don't often get to see that.
Very rarely, if ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, unless you're watching Handmaid's Tale, like sometimes.
Yeah. True story. Yeah, no, you're right. Actually, I don't know if I really fully if that really fully clicked while I was watching, but you're absolutely right that it is I was just it's been so long since I've watched this that the moment that Uma Thurman hit the screen, I was like, I love her. And then you got to like Lucy Liu, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. Like, it just, every single character character and actor were just so incredible in their own right that I found myself I couldn't pick a favorite character because every single character in this is just fantastic. And again, like, even background characters, even characters that are the antagonists, like they do a really beautiful job of telling the story of these characters. So even the antagonists, who are like bad guys, right? They're all bad guys, but in this particular point, like, they've done really horrible things to the bride, right, throughout this movie. And yet you get to know enough about them that you realize that it's not so easy to fully hate them for it. Like, Lucy Liu's character, they go back and explain like her whole backstory, and you're kind of like, oh, that's, hard to here she's like risen like a phoenix out of the ashes. And so it is harder to fully hate her. Also, she's just so darn likable.
Yes. And all of the face-offs that you had felt earned and felt even enough, right? Nothing was easy.
Yeah.
But it was clear she could win.
Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes when you're like the hero that we have is just so good, and they're like, all right, clearly they're going to win. And this one, because the way the story is formatted, we have the end near the beginning.
Yeah.
Of her journey of like crossing people off the list. So we know she succeeds in these things we see later, but it's like, but is she? Like, it's like so well matched up. And I love it. I love it. And I don't always love action movies, but like the action and fighting in this one is particularly good.
Yeah. And I think it, again, like, I go back to the fact that it has enough humor in it that you're both, I feel like I was sort of in this constant state of being like horrified and kind of like putting myself in her shoes, but then something like crazy over the top would happen, and it was sort of disarming and stopped me out of that. And then I was, kind of laughing to myself, or like having the, blood was spewing out everywhere, and you're like, well, this is ridiculous. Like, it kept me sort of on the edge of my seat with a bunch of different feelings and responses. Like, so we are kind of introduced, as we said at the very beginning, to the bride, who's played by Uma Thurman, and she's like not in a good spot. She's at death's door. And then, we build out a little bit more of this story, and we see her, she's in a coma. She like somehow has managed to survive this like huge mass shooting where everyone else has died. And so she's already a badass, right? She's like the survivor, but now there's this group of assassins that are after her to finish her off. And so, and it gets like more horrible from that point on, where, she's like been raped. She's like in this horrible situation. The assassins are like letting her be for a little bit, but are clearly going to come back and finish the job at some point or another. And she comes to, and then you remember, and she realizes, because she was pregnant, so she realizes that like, she's alive, but like barely. She's in this horrible situation. She doesn't know where her baby is. She assumes that her baby is gone, has been killed. And then in the middle of all of that, which is already like, my whole feelings were just like, oh my goodness, like, how is she in this situation? And then you realize that she can't, like, she's such a badass. She manages to like kill everyone around her, and she's making her escape, but she can't even walk because she's been in a coma for so long. And like, which could be, again, like another layer of kind of just horror for this poor woman. But it's just silly enough that she's dragging herself along, and she manages to get a wheelchair, and then she gets back to this car, which ends up being called the Pussy Wagon, which is already ridiculous. And then there's this, I think my favorite scene in this movie, I have another favorite scene in part two. My favorite scene in this movie, where she like pulls herself in. She can't use most of her body. She like through will of force pulls herself into the pussy wagon and closes the door. And then she spends an hour and a half just mind over matter forcing herself to wiggle her toes so that she can drive this car and get away. And it's like, on one hand, so incredibly serious, could not be more serious. Like, she's going to be killed. She needs to figure out what's going on. And on the other hand, so ridiculous that you can't help but laugh. Like, she's just sitting there like, wiggle your toes, wiggle
your big toe,
wiggle your big toe. It's just, it's my favorite scene, certainly in this movie. It might be my favorite scene, like definitely in the top 10 of all movies. I just love, and how hard would that have been to act? Like, it's wonderful on so many levels.
Yeah, really good. And this, the car, the pussy wagon, Tarantino actually drove it around town. Like, he has the car, drives it around town, and I think
Deserved.
2 music videos. It was in the Lady Gaga Telephone music video and a Missy Elliott music video.
Perfect.
Yeah, but it's out there.
I will say, if it wasn't called, I mean, the fact it's called Pussy Wagon is fantastic on a variety of levels, and the fact that he's driving it around as Tarantino is awesome. But if it was not called Pussy Wagon, I would drive it. It's really cool looking. The interior is awesome. Like, it's just fun and weird and perfect for the moment. And again, completely disarming, and sort of gives at least for me, gives my mind a little bit of a break, where I'm just like, oh my God, like, this poor woman, she's not okay, you guys.
She is not okay.
She's not okay. Y'all. But then that moment just shows what an absolute badass she is. So there's a moment of like, oh, it's okay because of how silly this is. But then there's also a moment of like, oh, it's okay because this woman is literally like forced herself into this car and has willed
after being
herself.
in a coma for 4 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
with no muscles.
It's just, I don't know. It's hands down my favorite scene. Do you have a favorite scene?
Oh, I love the scene with Lucy Liu, Oren Ishii, when she is offended by the other crime bosses. She climbs the crime syndicate in Japan, ends up being the head, and somebody insults her heritage because she's mixed. Mm-hmm. And she does this really great speech that was on the soundtrack, and that I was like using that probably incorrectly for audition monologues for a while, because I was like, I just loved it so much, and I was like, is this character not appropriate? Audition. Whatever.
Excellent choice.
I don't
for
care.
Monologue. Perfect.
That one is like my favorite.
Yeah,
because it really like shifted me, right? So in this monologue, right, she's the leader, somebody insults her, she doles out punishment, and then speaks to the room and is like, as your leader, I really do hope you question my logic. I hope that you challenge me. If you don't think something is right, please let me know, except for this one thing. I was like, girl.
It's made even better by the fact that throughout that entire scene, everything is in Japanese. And
then she said this one.
And then she gets up and she's like, I'm going to speak in English now. And so like that already is incredible. But then as she's saying that badass speech, there's a translator on the side translating it. And just like the Japanese like echo to what she is saying makes it 1,000 times better. Like, it just, I don't know, there's something about, I mean, I am absolutely not a filmmaker. I can't even imagine how hard it is, but people like Tarantino just make it look easy and like perfect, where every moment is just flawlessly timed. Like, all of that, from the, the choreography, the movement, just the sound, like everything is just so perfectly done. There's something just about like her calm, cool, collected, like phrasing,
a little bit cheery,
right?
It's like a little bit cheery. Yeah. I didn't realize this before until this watch, but the editor of this is a woman. And
Fantastic.
I was like just delighted to see that because I do think the editing is really good. There's all of these things
really
like
good.
the songs are cut off a little early, the like weird cuts that are references to movies of various types. Like it is brilliant. And it's like it's wrong, but it's right.
It is wrong, but it's right. I'm not surprised. And also incredible job. Incredible job
Yes.
in the editing of all of it. Well, this is slightly outside my wheelhouse because I don't know enough about genres, but I do want to talk with you about the mix of grindhouse and martial arts and Western and spaghetti Western. Everything is just kind of like pulled together in this in just a wonderful mashup that I cannot think of another movie that does it even remotely as well as far as mashups go. Did you have a favorite? Was there like a favorite genre out of everything that was kind of all mashed together, or did you just love the like how disarming it all was being smooshed together?
Yes. The way that it flows and it all works together, I think is really delicious, right? It's like we have this unique fusion dish that like it actually works. But I love the like the stuff where I kind of connected to the music that's playing at that time,
Mhm.
right? So the He Shot Me Down, Bang Bang, right? This is like a lot of our opening. So this is like a classic, like Western, somebody's been wronged,
Yeah.
establishing a revenge story
Yep.
kind of thing, right? And then of course the whole final chapter of this volume, which now that we're talking about it, I do think it is better split in two because if we had the finale that was the House of Blue Leaves, the big fight at the end,
Mm-hmm.
which is phenomenal, and I
It's
read
so
took
beautiful.
2 months to film with no like digital effects, everything's practical. um if we still had to watch the volume 2 right afterwards, I don't know if we would have went home after the first movie as like awestruck.
That's a really, really good point. I feel like we needed like a collective pause.
Like,
after-
whoa.
Yeah. Like, what? What? There is something too about the like fade to black end of movie, and you're like, what? What? Like, wait. There is something about that. And again, the waiting for the next one as well, which we're a little bit back to familiar with now with these seasons where it's like, well, we'll be back in a couple of years with this. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Wait a sec. So yeah, that you're right. I do think you're right there.
Yeah, but
the-
that final fight scene, that one is, it's just, of all movies, it's just excellent because there's the one with all of the big army. So we've got our heroine is fighting the big army in order to get to the final boss,
the crazy 88. Yeah.
the crazy 88, and it's like, is there 88 of them? It's
I
like,
hope
I don't know,
so.
they just thought the name was cool. That in After that, it is the final boss battle, and there's a line, it's between Lucy Liu and Uma Thurman's characters, and there's a line that's like, I hope you saved some energy, otherwise you'll be dead in 5 minutes. And it times out that the person who doesn't make out of that fight dies exactly 4 minutes and 59 seconds after she takes her first step.
Oh my goodness. The
And I was like, it's
layers
crazy.
of detail. Like again, this is someone who cares deeply for just the art of filmmaking and also is like such a geek about movies that I mean, we could probably talk for days about every like nuanced detail. I learned today, I posted this on Instagram because I was just like mind blown. Now we have IMDb and we can like look up movie facts, whereas back when we originally watched these things, it was not necessarily the case. But I didn't know that on her plane ticket going out to Tokyo, it actually says her name. So like, you know,
I didn't know
because
that. You blew my mind.
they keep like bleeping out her name throughout this, and we know her as the bride, and every time she goes to say her name, and then you know her by like her code name, but you never know her name until part 2. But we've known it all along, and I'm like, oh, I miss every single detail in a movie like that, and also I love that those things exist, just for me to be able to appreciate and go back and rewatch and be like, now I see that. But I never.
Because we were watching it in the theater, there's no pausing to look at the screenshot, right?
No.
And there's no going on TikTok afterwards to get the people to give you the breakdown. We just
No.
watched it.
We just watched it. And there was no like, I mean, I guess this was like early 2000s, so we were getting a little bit closer to being able to kind of get some of these fun facts or read them in articles or what have you. But there's something about like kind of the haha, like, will they notice this that I think is just fantastic about it. So I love the less than 5 minutes is another one of those amazing, amazing moments. Paul is sharing in our studio audience that Christopher Allen Nelson, who worked on the special effects, revealed in an interview that over 450 gallons of fake blood were used in the 2 Kill Bill movies. Yeah, they don't go sparingly on this, and they like really wanted it to look like a very particular way. So it's like comical, but also somewhat realistic, and it like they're using samurai swords and knives, and so it's not done to a small amount. Every time that someone is killed, there are just limbs and heads flying, scalps,
right? And stylistically, part of it is in black and white for a stylistic choice, but also to make it not so bloody while still being bloody, because it was like rating systems are like you used to not be able to release a movie if it was too much blood. So their trick would be making certain scenes black and white, and Tarantino did that in this one.
All right, I want to talk about the anime scenes in this. Did you dig the anime, or was it like, oh, weird?
I loved it. I remember like first watching that and having it switch, and like never seeing in a movie something switch styles. And we'd already seen a couple of styles switching, but it was still like with like human people, right? And then it switches to anime for this backstory. And in this rewatch of it, I was like, it had to be this because it's a child who is murdering.
Yeah.
Like the scenes could not have been played.
It would have been
real life,
real
like, well.
uncomfy. Yeah, we would have been. I mean, it's already uncomfy, but it again is sort of a nice is probably not the right word, but a good way to disarm the audience and yet still tell the story, like without it being too much. You're right. It would have been real intense if that had been. Yeah.
But beautifully done. Whatever like that anime style was is just gorgeous, and it worked. It just worked for me.
Yeah, I had not like fully forgotten it, but the second that we kind of got close to it, I was like, oh, right. And then it switched over. I was like, oh, this is really beautifully done at like everything from like every moment of it. And it does do a really fantastic job of, again, like building up just enough of her backstory that she's an admirable character. Like she literally watched both of her parents get murdered brutally in front of her, and she claws her way through and becomes this like renowned leader. And I don't think I fully appreciated, and kudos to my like super fact oriented, the polar opposite of me husband, where he was like, I don't think you fully appreciate how much racism there is between the Chinese and the Japanese. So the fact that she is half Chinese and half Japanese is not a small thing. Like she shouldn't even exist as a person, like the fact that she exists as a person. So it is like interesting, and I think is nuanced in so many ways that she was able to overcome everything that happened to her and like even exists in this like crazy level of racism, and then ends up becoming the leader. And we come full circle back to your favorite scene of her just owning her space. Yes. But it's sort of like heartbreaking when you know that these two women have to face off against each other. But again, you like feel like you're still in for the revenge. So you're sort of like, oh, I don't want, but also yes. All the feelings. This movie should be called Katie's Feelings. All the feelings.
Katie's feelings. But like it's in seeing, like, I love this female character. I love this woman, and seeing them face off and know one has to come out. It's so rare that we got multiple women to root for in a movie.
Yeah.
It's rare, but like at least we knew the fight was going to be good, because it is established in like the first couple scenes that our bride makes it in the end, because of the sequence of the stories. But it's just so like really juicy fights, just really juicy, worthwhile fights. And you can see how all of these women were picked and trained together. They were like a team of assassins
Like Charlie's
that
Angels
end up,
style, but not.
but much more
Much
aggressive.
more aggressive. But yeah, they're Bill's angel. I don't know. No, I
Yeah.
won't go there. But yeah,
With a deadly Viper assassination squad, I believe.
yeah, great name.
And that they were like they were matched. And even into volume 2, when she faces off with the rest of the group, the matches are good, and she's put in these things, and you're like, oh my gosh, how is she going to get out of this? How is she going to win? We see her almost not make it, but keep fighting. It's brilliant, and that's I love it.
Well, we have not talked about yet the earlier scene. So before we meet Crazy 88, before we have our anime moment, we have this wonderful suburban battle to the death, which is just wonderful. Again, like so we have the bride. She has gotten securely into the pussy wagon, has driven herself into this suburban neighborhood to cross off the first victim in her revenge plot, in her revenge story. And she goes in, and again, we're introduced to, this other incredibly like powerful, successful woman who's raising a family in this beautiful suburban house. And the fight scene between them is so beautifully like choreographed and vicious and like deadly and dangerous, but polite on such a deep level as well, that in the middle of all of it, when this 4-year-old comes home on the bus, which she did not look 4 to me, and why is she on a bus if she's 4? But we'll pretend. So she comes home, and then they have to pause everything and have this civil discussion. I don't know. I love, again, another scene that I just think was so wonderfully done, because it's so over the top and ridiculous, and for a brief moment, even though I've seen this probably 150 times, I was like, does she actually kill her though? Because her daughter's there. I was like, no, yeah, she's gonna she's gonna cross
Like,
that name off the list.
which is potentially Kill Bill 3
Yeah.
would be the return of the daughter.
Yeah.
And I loved the way that it plays out in the end, where the bride, who has triumphed in this battle, didn't mean to do this in front of this little girl, but she says to her, if you still feel salty about this, I'll be waiting. Because she's like, I get it. She gets it. She's been she's on this revenge journey, and she's like, yeah, I get where you would want to come and kill me as well, because that's the cycle. So I'm hoping that if that little girl is the same age as the other little girl, in the movie, that it would come back around with them. And let's see, how old would they be now? If that movie was 2004, they could be about the right age now.
They'd be about the right age now, yeah. And
Quentin, get on it.
And Tarantino said he would do 10, and he had one picked and then didn't do it. So we still have that. He
owes us one.
He owes us one. I wonder, like, if he has a favorite out of all the. I mean, it would be hard to pick a favorite from all the projects that you've worked on, but I don't know. This one seems like it is held closely to his heart. He like wanted to do this I love that he wanted Uma Thurman in this so badly that even though he was like ready to get going and start filming, she was pregnant and couldn't be in it. He waited for her to be ready.
Because she came up with the idea.
She came up with the idea. That's so admirable. And again, I can't, as horrible as it is, I imagine that rarely, if ever, happens. Like, even if it was her idea, even if she had contributed to it, I feel like typically that would have been a sad story where you were like, oh, that stinks that he did that or that happened. But it wasn't. He like waited for her and came through, and it just, I don't know, it just really shined. And I love that it was this kind of positive moment of empowerment, positive moment of awesomeness.
Back to the fight with Vernita Green, with Vivica A. Fox's character. I forgot how that ended. And so I was so delighted.
Me too.
And I was like, I don't even want to spoil this I was just so delighted at how like the turn that happened because I was like, they're fighting, and then the kid comes home and I'm like, how did they get out of this?
Yeah, I didn't remember any of it. I like
I was
brief moments. As soon as she picked up the cereal box, I was like, oh, it's starting to click in my head. What's going on here? I know we joke here on the show spoilers, but 2003, so feels fair to be spoiling at this point.
yes, but two cereal references, right? So as H.E. Pennypacker saying, they both recite, which is Beatrix and Oren.
Yeah.
Tricks are for kids, right? Like they've been besties. So cereal's referenced there. Cereal's referenced in the beginning. So cereal within the divas, probably a thing.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even actually catch that, right? Because her name is Beatrix Kiddo. That is her name on her plane ticket and her name in real life. Yeah. That is a really good point. I did catch the tricks are for kids line, and I was like, oh, that definitely is, there's something there. But yeah, I hadn't put those two together. I love it. Kathy is saying she really also loved Inglourious Bastards. That one's high on my list. Pulp Fiction, Inglourious Bastards. I didn't really like Natural Born Killers. I'm sad to say. I wish I did. I wish I did, but it's not my favorite. Yeah, Kaboom. The serial is called Kaboom. As Doc is reminding us. So it's clearly labeled, and yet still, I was like, oh, she's getting. Oh no.
Yes, that's right. Because it's like, why is this kid having cereal after school? Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well, this actually is good timing for my next planned question was there any particular moment in this movie that completely blew your mind when you saw it? Was there any, like, either whether it was a fun fact or just a moment in time? I'm sure there's probably like a million, but
so many. But like the way the last character meets her end with the head flying, but it's not a whole head. I just like when it's flying, like it's like a wig flying across the screen, and you're like, what happened? And then you cut back to the character, and then it's revealed she was scalped, or the top part of her head, she got her top cut off. And it's like just wild to see that character and that actress like that, right? And I love when Go-Go's gets stuck in the head.
Yeah.
Like the shot of her, she's like the eyes are coming out.
The eyes, yeah.
Her like blood's coming out. And I do remember giggling a lot when they defy gravity in the battles. I'm just like, that's not real. Like, of course, none of it's real, but like that part got me.
That was the part where you're like, no, suspension of disbelief right here. Not this is where I draw the line. I love in the Crazy 88 fight scene where we get to like the end of this like a fight where it's one person against potentially 88, if not plus, so many people. And they're all like, she's standing like up top. She's got her badass samurai sword. And they're all just like laying in like a pile of like body parts. And some people, like, there's like moaning and craziness going down. But the view of all of that is just so wild. And then she was like, you know, basically like you can all get up and leave, but you leave the body parts. Those are mine. And it's like, this is just like wild. I don't know. There was something in that view of, it was just crazy as well.
She's like, except for you, Sophie.
Sophie.
Except for you.
Except for you.
Now, did you know that the guy who's the leader, the general of the Crazy 88s, is the same actor that plays the teacher in the second volume?
Oh, I don't know if I knew that. I did not remember it. And again, I didn't watch the site, which I'm so bummed, because I was saying to you, the second one has, I think, my favorite scene in both, where she breaks out of the coffin and it's just like the trail of dirt flying behind her as she like shuffles across the street. I think is probably my favorite scene in at least, yeah, top 10 in most movies, definitely.
Right, there's a lot of fun scenes of her looking a mess.
Yeah.
In regular situations, right?
Yes.
She's like, the kid comes home, they're like bloody and there's glass everywhere, and they're like, "Hi, honey, how was your day?" here's mommy's friend, right? The comedy of that is like brilliant.
Yeah.
And, she's walking after she's crawled out of this coffin, like buried alive. She's going into a diner and there's this like dust flying off of her. She sits down. She's like, can I please have a glass of water? It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
The amount of pausing in these like battles to the death, like not even just one battle, like in multiple battles where it's just like, okay, let's just take a minute. Like we need to be at our peak while we're fighting. We need to get water. We need to have a conversation. And now we will continue fighting. The respect. This is the lady assassin respect. You see, there's not the same level of respect in men assassins.
Right. Well, and speaking of that, right, it's the respect when Elle Driver, who is Daryl Hannah's character, could have just killed her while she was in her coma.
Kind of wanted to, because she thought it would be a mercy.
Yes. And then she doesn't because she gets called off. But then that does come back in the second movie, that she is upset at the coffin situation because she's like, she didn't deserve to die that way. She's the best fighter I had ever seen.
Yep.
And I had forgot like that those two, we specifically get to know that those two trained under the same teacher. So their fight is like very evenly matched up. Minus an eyeball.
Minus an eyeball. Okay. Have you ever dressed as any of these characters for Halloween? And if so, which?
No.
And if not, which would you be?
Oh my gosh, no! But like
you have to
all
cosplay one. Who's your favorite?
The costumes would be so good. It would be the yellow. It would be the full yellow. Yeah, because then you're like you're Bruce Lee and you're the bride.
I think I would be Elle with the
patch. Yes,
and it has to have the patch. Something about it was like
with the plus.
Oh yeah, the sexy nurse outfit, but with the plus eye patch just made it like go from sexy to like just wonderful. Like it's just,
yes,
I don't know, it's sexy with an edge. It's sexy with an edge
because she's got style. She does.
She does.
And they all had style. Like with these kind of movies, I always think it's so good when there was time taken into making characters that can be cosplayable.
Yeah,
even like that is part of the design, is that it is something someone could dress up as.
Yep.
And that just like makes you iconic.
Absolutely.
Forever.
All right, Paula's helping us with some more fun facts here. It took 6 years to write the entire script before being split into two parts. The original draft was 220 pages long. Man after my own heart. I'm way too wordy. That's why that would be me. I'd be like, no, we need to say all of this. We need all of this. We need all of this. We didn't talk yet about Hanzo and about hopefully Doc will correct me if I'm saying things horribly wrong, or maybe Marielou will too. She had good pronunciation earlier. But I love the scene of the bride going out to get like the perfect sword, our kind of samurai moment where she goes out and she goes into the sushi shop, which apparently is like also a funny moment because the town or the city that they're in is not at all known for sushi. So it's this kind of like he owns this sushi shop, but it's not really like the point because he's this incredible sword maker. And so I loved kind of again, sort of the silliness of that scene where she goes in, she's kind of pretending she's a tourist, but she's clearly not. And he's clearly not just there to sell sushi. And there's this like hilarious back and forth over tea with the three of them, the sword maker, the sidekick, and her, and it's just an awesome. I don't know. I loved everything about that.
Yes. Moment. Well, and like this character, like as we start to like unravel, he's like, oh, he's just a silly like restaurant owner. He's just like having a good time. Oh, he's like messing with the American tourist. Oh, he's actually a really big deal. Right. And then we find out, oh, he hasn't done this thing in 28 years.
Yeah.
Because he swore a blood oath to not create weapons that would kill people. Mm-hmm. Right. But it's like the swords. These swords are the swords, the best swords you compare to every sword ever is the best ever. And there is a scene where she's like exploring the swords and he's trying to see if she's serious, I guess, and throws a baseball at her and gets sliced in half. And they did that for real, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, the stunt
Like
double.
they did it.
Actually, can you imagine? I would have ruined that entire scene because if I had pulled that off, I'd have been like, yeah,
Fuck
yes. The scene would have been destroyed. It would have been completely over. Completely over. All right, there we go. Hanzo, like Kohan, not Han like hands. Thank you, Doc. Thank
Hattori
you.
Hanzo.
Hattori Hanzo is a real samurai blacksmith and assassin. That's incredible.
Oh,
I love it.
amazing.
Yeah,
I love this. And
warrior. Cool. Awesome.
with all the characters that the bride ends up having to get help from,
Mm-hmm.
she drops Bill's name. They're like, we don't do that anymore. She's like, I think you will. And she's like, Bill. and then they're in. They're like, whoa, yeah, this guy, yes. I guess I do owe you.
When he writes Bill in like the dust in the window, which is already like wonderful. And then there's like a few moments later, and then I can't remember if he erases it or she does. But
She erases it.
She goes back and like adds
A
like
little.
an extra more erasing, which I was like, no, we don't need this here. We don't need him. We don't need this here.
Get out of here. I'm
Get
trying to
outta here.
train.
Get out of here. I love it. So yeah, Paul is sharing detailed facts. So the name of the sword maker is also the name of a samurai who was a warrior for the shogun. I'm not going to pronounce the name, in the year 1570, and was also a general. Okay, I'll put Duck saying, okay, I'll put my Japanese history degree away now. All the history, no details spared.
It is so fun though, because there is so many layers, right? There's definitely a respect for the various cultures
Oh yeah,
that are referenced,
Yep.
the various genres.
yeah,
It just feels right. And even when it's silly, that is reference.
yeah,
Right. The silly stuff is intentional.
Yep.
Because sometimes that's where it's like with movies with something silly and you're like, y'all don't realize that was weird. But but then like this one, I feel like they did.
yeah. There is a scene in the newer Indiana Jones, in like the crystal skull one. Have you seen that one?
Yeah. I didn't watch it, but I remember the trailers.
Okay, so it's become one of my like favorite quote like this is terrible movies, because there's a scene in it where he gets up and Shia LaBeouf's character is like, "You're a professor?" And he's standing up and he goes, "Part-time." And every time he says that, that's like one of those lines where it's like it's not supposed to be funny, but it's just so strange, and like the timing is off on it and how he says it is off. And there's been like skits that have made fun of him saying it where it's like part-time. Like there's just it's not a good line. It doesn't fit there. So there's none of that. But every time I think of like comedy done very wrong, that's all that plays in my mind. It's just he's a
right, because
he's a
you
part-time
kind of feel
professor.
it. You feel like a little bit extra uncomfortable when it's like they thought it was gonna hit, but it didn't.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah, this
somebody
movie
needed
does
to
not
look at
have that.
this.
The timing is flawless from every moment all the way through. There is no awkward moment where you're like, that didn't work out, and now we're gonna make fun of that forever. There's no moments of that in this one. Oh my gosh. Well, we are just about at the end of our episode. So if you are hanging out with us live in the studio audience, as I see many of you are, thank you so much. Now's a good time to drop in your ratings. If we've convinced you with our just sheer admiration and adoration of this movie, then rate based on us. Rate for us and tell us how many potatoes or swords, or what else could we rate in? Sushi. We could rate in pussy wagons. What else could we rate? Stars if you're
How
old
many
fashioned.
katanas? How many
katanas?
heads of Yakuza leaders?
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, here are some rapid fire questions that ChatGPT came up for us. All right. So are you team Oren or team L Driver?
Oren.
Are you best kill, Oren or Vernita Green?
Oh, I think still Oren.
More brutal, eye patch removal or the schoolgirl chain fight?
Eye patch removal or the schoolgirl chain fight.
Volume 1 or Volume 2?
Oh, which one is just better? Volume
Mhm.
1. I remember watching Volume 2 and being like, that wasn't as good because I didn't get it as a whole.
Yeah.
That was until later.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like volume 2 is awesome, but it doesn't stand alone. Whereas I don't know. I do think volume 1, even though it ends abruptly and you're like, no, I need to know what's going to happen next. It's still strong in its own right. It's still a great watch by itself. Okay, two-part question. Did this movie age well?
Yes.
Would you recommend it today?
Yes, I would.
Awesome.
Yes, I would. I was worried it wasn't going to age well.
I was too, because I didn't remember like I remembered how it made me feel, and I remembered moments of it that I loved, but I didn't necessarily remember like all the in-betweens, which is actually pretty common I'm realizing about myself as I do this show that I like remember how things made me feel, but I don't remember the details. So this one I was a little bit like, oh, does this hold up? Like I couldn't remember like whether or not Tarantino movies in general held up and whether or not this one did, but I knew how much I loved this one. So I was delighted to find out that I do think it does. I can't think of anything that feels like inappropriate. This one's like this is a female
uplifting
positivity uplifting story about revenge and sass and blood.
It's like a classic revenge story though. It's like and because
story,
there was so much reference that I think that's why it has a good foundation to stand on to stand the test of time.
Very true. Very true. Well, Terrell is saying he doesn't think that Gen Z and Alpha can handle Kill Bill. Look at how they react to the classics. It's true. This might scar them. We'll see. We'll have to see if we can find some. None of them watch this show, so it's okay. It's all good. They haven't quite got there yet to either this show or this movie, but it looks like I'm going back through for everyone's rating. So Kathy is going through with 4. Kathy found the swords, 4 swords. Oh, Paul, solid choice. Blood, 4 drops of blood. We have 5 swords out of 5. Yeah, solid. All right, well, I didn't tell you what I put down, so I will let you give me your rating. You don't have to agree with me. So what would you rate it? 1 out of 5? Out of 5 swords or potatoes or blood, what's your rating?
5 bloody swords holding potatoes.
I know. I really should have gotten like brushed off my design skills and done all the way through. I went 4. I went 4, which just to surprise everyone, because I feel like I rate too high most of the time, and I feel like 5 for me is a movie that I've like fully memorized and watched 1,000,001 times over and over again. And this one isn't that for me. But I can believe in the 5 for many people.
Yes.
5
okay.
whistles,
Yeah. Like that parameter.
Doc.
Yeah. That's like different. But
yeah.
like 5 as far as impact on my life. Right. And how I felt and its positioning in female forward media. 5. And
in the zeitgeist. You might sway me. You might sway me. I may have to.
I've been told I'm convincing.
I may have to. There we go. We'll add back in. Now we have 5. Now we have 5 Christian taters. Marielou talked me into it, which is at least part of the show. So, oh my gosh, I so appreciate you making the time. I know you are much busier than most people, much busier than I am on a regular basis. And you were helping me at the event that I was running this week. So thank you so much for still being up for joining me for a movie rewatch and spending time live here with me while we're recording. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciated the assignment of having to watch something else. It was just like, great. I used to do a podcast about movies. And like, it just reminded me of when I was doing that, right? I used to like interview people who like in the movie industry, and I would have to watch their movie in the like, watch an hour-long movie in the 20 minutes before the show, making it happen. I'm like, nope. Okay, yes, watch it. But I loved it. And anytime you need me, I'll be there.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely have you back because you gave me a list. So we're just going to keep working through the list. And then when we get to the bottom, we'll make a new list and we'll work our way through there. Well, If people have not yet met you, although I think many of our Tater Tots know you, where can they find you? How can they interact and engage with your content?
You find me all over the internet at Marielou Mandl, and you should definitely check out my podcast with Doc Rock, who's in the audience, Creators Unstuck.
It's a really, really fun one. So plus one potato from my end. You definitely have to go and give it a watch and a listen and hang out with them because it's a blast. Well, thank you everyone for hanging out with us tonight. And if you're watching or listening later, thank you so much for making time. I just want to give a plug because I just spent the entire week listening to much smarter people than me tell me how important having an email list is and how important it is to build a community. So if you want to hang out with us, we're obviously here most Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube in the live comments. You can absolutely join us here if that's where it's fun for you to spend time with us. But we do have an email list. So you can swing over to the vhsclubpod.com, sign up for our email. And then that lets you know when I change up the schedule randomly or when I get tricked into doing a different movie because I'm like, oh, shiny, I want to do this one over here instead. So keep up with me and hear all of the fun updates and things that we have going on by joining our email list. I really appreciate everyone that's part of the club, and we will yes, okay, all right. If you're listening, Marielou is rocking all of the VHS, so I will have to up my game. You're gonna make me a better creator over here. I love it. Well, from all of us here, we will see you next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna be talking all about Mannequin, which if you haven't seen that one, buckle up for Mannequin. It's gonna be a great one. So we will see you next time. Bye everyone.
King and Nat.